felt like self-doubt has taken over your life in midlife, you are not alone. Okay, I've been there and I know just how overwhelming it can feel. So today in this masterclass, I am going to be covering what self-doubt is and why it keeps you stuck, why midlife amplifies this self-doubt, and how to break free and start believing in yourself. So if you're ready, let's start this journey. So I'm going to start by telling you a little story, okay? Not once upon a time, it's very much where we are. In December 2017, at the age of 47, I had a midlife crisis. That's why I'm now into this. It's a long story. But the kids had left home and gone to university. My husband and I decided it was time to start living our lives. So I sold my successful beauty business that I'd built from scratch, and we moved from the quiet village that we lived in to a bustling city full of new possibilities. And I expected this transition to be exciting, a fresh start. But once we settled in and I started to think about what I could do for work, I was crippled with self-doubt. Despite years of running my business and years of corporate experience, so I'd worked in corporate for 15 years prior to running my business, I actually didn't believe any company would hire me. And these negative voices in my head just kept getting louder and louder and louder. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But it was like, you're too old. Why would anyone hire you? You've been out of corporate too long. You're unemployable. You've read, all of these things. And I started to apply for jobs that I was massively overqualified for. And I wasn't even getting a response. So I was looking for, kind of like the real low end, kind of working in Tesco or admin jobs. And 5 years prior to that, I was a manager in a corporate place, and people just weren't getting back to me. And of course, all that did was actually create more self-doubt. So I then was thinking to myself, God, you can't even get a job as a bloody stacking shelves. You're useless, you're old, you're washed up. On top of this, I was dealing with what I now realise was an onslaught of both physical and mental menopause symptoms. If you've been there, you know. Anxiety, lack of sleep and brain fog were just clouding all of my thinking, if you like. So seemingly overnight, I went from a confident, happy-go-lucky woman to a shell of myself, questioning everything. My self-esteem took a real beating. And some days I didn't even want to leave the house. And I just didn't know who I was anymore. Then came 2022 lockdown. Thought it couldn't get any worse. The home beauty business that I'd set up was forced to close. And suddenly I had no job. I had no income, and seemingly I had no purpose. I felt completely lost and overwhelmed. And I had this all-consuming fear that I just wasn't good enough anymore. I felt like I'd lost everything, my business, my confidence, my sense of identity. And the worst part, I just started to believe that maybe this was just how midlife was supposed to feel. But deep down, I knew this wasn't me. And that's when I started to really question why I was suddenly doubting myself at every turn. Why did it feel like I'd just lost all belief in myself overnight? And that's when I realized self-doubt doesn't just show up out of nowhere. It kind of creeps in little by little. And like all of those little things that had happened, it just kept creeping in and creeping in. And then it just felt like it was permanently part of who I was. So what is self-doubt? And why does it hit us so hard in midlife? So self-doubt is that little voice in your head telling you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not capable enough. It's that inner critic that makes you question your abilities, makes you question everything. It's the opposite of self-belief. And it happens when you have low self-worth and low self-esteem. That's when it really starts to creep in. And it's fueled, like with me, with past failures, past disappointments, changes, fear of judgment, perfectionism, comparison, you name it. And what it does is it actually stops you from taking action. So it keeps you stuck. And it keeps you stuck in this hesitating, overthinking, and procrastination phase where you just are so scared. You don't want to go out and put yourself forward. You have no confidence. So, yes, we can experience self doubt throughout our lives, like when we're starting a new job, for example, or trying something new, when we're asked to do something outside of our comfort zones. And you'll all recognize it. You all have that moment like, oh, can I do this? Can I? Well, maybe I can't. But in midlife, it feels like it becomes a permanent fixture for so many of us. It's not just when we're trying something new or when we're stepping outside of our comfort zones. We start to question, start to doubt ourselves when doing our normal daily routine, when we're with our friends, when we're at work. We start to doubt our brains and our bodies. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly wondered what you went in there for? I do it all the time. Or found yourself forgetting a word mid-sentence and thinking, what is wrong with me? It's like doubt becomes this constant presence. We don't trust our bodies, we don't trust our minds, and so we're filled with this doubt. So why does it happen? Why do we, as midlife women, suddenly feel like we're not good enough anymore? Because that's what self-doubt is. Well, there isn't one single reason. It's almost like there's this perfect storm of changes that are all happening all at once, and they can shake our confidence to the core. We have those lovely hormonal shifts. You know, menopause brings brain fog, forgetfulness, and mood swings that can make us all feel like we're losing control. Not just the mental side, but the physical side. I didn't trust my body. I didn't know from one day to the next what my body was going to be doing. You know, I had a real kind of like problem with like literally weeing myself. I would not be able to walk two steps without thinking, oh my God, do I need the toilet? Oh my God, do I need the toilet? I didn't want to go out the house. It was really, really awful. And when your body isn't behaving the way it used to, it's really easy to start doubting yourself, because part of confidence and part of actually believing in yourself is that we have this congruence. And congruence means that, you know, you do what you say and the world does what you say, and it's the way that we live it. Well, actually, the reality is when you've got absolutely zero congruence in just your body, how the heck are you supposed to keep going? So these hormonal shifts, you know, people talk about them as though they're nothing now because, you know, menopause is everywhere, but it's huge. And certainly in 2017, when I was going through my worst, nobody talked about menopause. I didn't know this was menopause. I thought it was me. So I thought there was something wrong with me. And that was what created for me that kind of lack of confidence, that not wanting to leave the house. We also live in this youth obsessed world, and aging is still very difficult to do. We've been conditioned to believe that confidence belongs to the young. We see messages everywhere telling us that younger is better. Even with like products that are targeted at our age group, it's all about anti-aging, as though aging is a really bad thing. And you know, it's kind of, you want younger looking, firmer looking skin, you want to look younger, you want to feel younger. And it's like, what is so wrong with being my age? What's so wrong with being a woman in her 50s? But society made me feel, and it makes us as a collective feel a little bit unseen. We start to feel invisible and we start to feel inadequate. We're not good enough. We're not young enough. And then we have changing roles. So maybe, like me, your kids had left home and you're wondering, who even am I now? I'm no longer that mum. Or maybe you're thinking about changing careers, but you feel stuck because, like me, what do you do if you've been out of it for a long time, or you know that you did it years ago, but you had to leave to look after the kids, or you've had to go part-time to look after your parents, or whatever these things are? It's really difficult because we're taking on these jobs that are lesser. We're applying for jobs that are beneath, and it sounds awful when I say it because no job is beneath anyone who wants to go to work. Don't mean it like that. But what I'm saying is we're applying for jobs that we know we are overqualified for. And what is that saying? Every single time you do that, you're telling yourself you're not good enough. And then for some of us, and I've said this before, I am a chronic people pleaser. So if we've had years of people pleasing and playing it safe, it's really, really easy to just want to keep the peace and not rock the boat. And when we suddenly want more for ourselves, that inner voice just comes out and goes, who the hell do you think you are? Like, you don't deserve this. You're a carer, you're a looker afterer. You can't have your own life. And again, it makes us doubt ourselves. And all of these leads to that nagging question in the back of our minds. Am I actually good at anything? Am I good enough? And 9 times out of 10, the answer comes back, no, I'm not good enough. So we no longer believe in ourselves. Our self-esteem takes a massive hit and our confidence hits the floor. Because here's the thing, self-doubt and confidence are like two sides of the same coin. The more you feed one, the weaker the other one gets. So if you keep telling yourself you can't do something, you won't even try. Yeah. And that keeps us stuck because we're waiting to feel confident before acting. Because I'm not confident enough to do that. I'm not going to try and do that. But we all know that confidence comes from action. So the more action you take, the more your self-belief grows. But when you're riddled with self-doubt, you don't take action. You don't feel confident. So that doubt wins and it keeps us stuck. But the good news is we have the power to change that. We can break free from self-doubt and we can rebuild our confidence. And as I said, this is something I deal a lot with. In fact, I did a 5-day confidence challenge a few months ago, and I will be hopefully repeating that in this year in 2025. So I am really excited to do that because I know people got a lot from it. But here are my top 5 powerful steps that helped me and that can help you too. Okay. Number 1, you need to get to know your inner critic. So we all have an inner critic, and we need to get to know that inner critic because it's not you talking. Okay, so there's nothing worse than believing that it's you talking yourself out of this. It isn't. We need to divorce ourselves from it a little bit, and we need to actually create a persona for this inner critic. Now, I have done this very successfully, and I really do recommend it to you. So I want you to think about giving your inner critic a character. So my inner critic is called Mavis. And she's like this naggy old woman, and I can hear her, and I can actually see her when she starts talking to me now. And when she starts talking to me and she starts telling me that I can't do that, you're not going to be able to do that. I don't know why you've put yourself forward to do that, because you're going to be rubbish at it, or nobody's going to take you seriously. Look at you. Or like she does at the moment, where she says to me, do you know what, Carrie, you've put so much weight on this last year. Look at your double chins. You know, all of these things, I know that's not me. I know that is Mavis. And I'll tell you now, Mavis is an absolute, utter bitch. She's like your worst nightmare. And she says things that are just hurtful, and things that put you down, and things that make you feel awful. And she's not very nice. But actually, I know that she thinks in saying these things, she's keeping me safe, because she doesn't want me to step outside of my comfort zone. She wants me to stay exactly where she can look after me. So I forgive Mavis for being a bitch. I know, last week I talked about forgiveness. This is the first one you need to do. I forgive her for being the way she is. I understand it's her way of looking after me. But I just say to her, do you know what, Mavis? Thank you for that. Thank you for that insight. But I'm okay. I'm okay. I've got this. I'm safe. And once you can start doing that, you're so much more in control of that narrative. If you want to, you can have a full-on conversation with her. Stand in front of the mirror and talk back to her. Don't often do that. I do when she's really getting on my nerves, but I definitely do it in my head. I now know. So get honest about it. You have an inner critic. I'd love to know what you're going to call your inner critic, because do you know what? I think it's amazing when we have them. Second point, I want you to rewrite the story that you're telling yourself. So I was very much listening to my inner critic. I was very much listening to what she was saying, and I was too old. I felt useless. I couldn't even get myself a job. That was the story I was telling myself, and I had it on loop. I had it on repeat, just how useless I really was. And I needed to, and you need to rewrite that story. So instead of telling yourself that you're too old to try something, just say to yourself, I'll give it a go. I mean, I've got years of experience. If I could do it 20 years ago when I was a bit dafter, I'm sure I can do it now. And just think about that when it comes to the workplace, rather than thinking I'm too old, nobody's going to hire me. Just think about all those years of wisdom and experience that you've got that are so valuable. Every single woman on this planet who's either in a partnership, been a mom, worked, you are the best project manager that you will ever meet. Because if you've got young kids, you don't drop the ball. You make sure you get to pick them up on time. You make sure that they're fed. You make sure that you go and get your job done. You make sure that the house is clean and the washing is done and the PE kit is ready. You make sure they've done their homework. You do all of that. You do not need a Prince 2 qualification to tell you how good you are at project management. But you know what? We doubt ourselves because we sit there and we go, what did we do? Well, we didn't do a very good job. And then, I took time out to bring my kids up. Wow. There are not many CEOs in the world that would be able to cope with a family. Let me tell you. So rewrite that story that you're telling yourself. Think of the positives. Start pulling out those things that we can do. All right. We need to make what we've done more empowering, because that's what we are. We put ourselves down and we allow other people to put ourselves down, and make other people make us feel as though it wasn't a good contribution. It was a huge contribution, ladies. We have done amazing to get to this place in our lives. And we're still doing it because we are the sandwich generation. So we have kids. Even though my kids have left home, whenever there's a problem, they're straight on the phone. My son has just bought a flat. I went down there. I had to clean it because obviously it needed cleaning. I went down and organised it. But on the next couple of days, I'm back to driving my parents to hospital appointments, or, like making sure everything's done. And I'm constantly juggling everything. And I have a business. I have 2 businesses, actually. And I have a house to run, and I have a 14-year-old dog. My life is busy. I would love for you to show me some of the top CEOs in this country that can do what we do every day. So stop putting yourself down. Rewrite that story. The third one, and this is really important, and we did this last week. If you didn't catch the live last week, you can catch it in the guide section, or you can catch it on the YouTube channel. Forgive yourself and let go of past failures. So we know that holding on to the past actually keeps us from moving forward. Nobody is perfect. If you show me a perfect person, I'll show you somebody who hasn't lived. Okay, we are not our past mistakes. They don't define us. They're not our identity. They are things that happened. And you know what? Those things that happened, we can learn from. Because when we have a mistake, when something happens that we don't want to do again, we learn from it. So forgive yourself. Don't hold on to it. Don't hold on to those past regrets. Don't hold on to those resentments. All of those things fuel your self-doubt. How many times have you had an argument with someone? I did this last week. I'm not going to go into it too much. You have an argument with someone and they say something and it hurts, it cuts. And then do you know what? You play that on loop all the time. Yeah, but he said I was fat, or, he said I wasn't very good in bed, or he said this, or she said this, or God, why did she say that to me? It's unbelievable. Oh my God, we play it on loop. Let it go. Let it go. And forgive yourself. This is number 3, very important. Number 4, And this is the real turning point. You need to take action. It can be small action steps, but you need to take action, because confidence doesn't come from waiting. It comes from doing. Okay. The first time you try anything, you will have no confidence. The second time you try it, you'll have a bit more confidence. The third time you try it, you'll have a bit more confidence, until it becomes absolutely normal. And if you think about anything that you have learned in the last 10 years, think back to when you first did it and how scary it was and how much self-doubt you had. Think about driving. For anyone who's been driving a long time, I actually worked out the other day that I will have been driving for 38 years this year, which makes me feel really kind of, wow, that's a lifetime, isn't it? But I remember when I first started driving, I could not change gear for love nor money. The idea of having to put my foot down, move my hand at the same time, know what I was doing, steer at the same time, I was absolutely, I can't do that. I really can't. I'm never going to be able to do that. Now, I can drive any car, anywhere, and I don't even think about it. Changing gear is the most natural thing when you drive a car. And yet I remember when I first started doing it, I really struggled with it. So think about that. You need to take those small, brave actions, because the more you take the actions, the more competent you get. The more competent you get, the more confident you get. So I want you to actually set one small goal. Do one thing. And then do it again. And then do it again. This isn't jumping out the plane, guys. This is do one thing that you're a little bit scared of. You know, what is it? What's that one thing you want to do? And do it. And then do it again and do it again. I have a friend of mine, and she was terrified of going out on her own, like going for a coffee on her own. And I said to her, what's the worst that's going to happen? Seriously, let's play this worst scenario. What's the worst that's going to happen? And she went, well, I'm going to feel a bit of an idiot and I'm going to be sat on my own. I went, okay, fine. That's it. You're not going to die. No, nothing catastrophic is going to happen. Go and do it. She did it. She said it was a little bit awkward, but actually a lady came over and started talking to her, and she felt quite good about it. The following week, she went back, and she went back to the same cafe. It was a cafe, but same place. And she walked in, and everyone was really friendly to her, and she sat down and she had a coffee and just chilled out, just read a book. The third week she went in, she walked in, and everyone went, oh, hiya, how are you doing? And everyone was really nice. The lady behind the counter recognized her, and she said, I didn't feel at all conscious. I didn't worry about it. I was absolutely fine. That started with that one awkward moment when she had to go and take that action. Now she doesn't care. So I need you ladies to actually think about it. What's one small goal that you can prove to yourself that you can do something? And then tip number 5, and this is really important, okay? Surround yourself with support. It's so much easier in this day and age because we have Facebook, and there are lots of groups out there. If you are not in the Thrive groups, drop me a message. I will connect you with them. There are thousands of beautiful people out there who will happily support you, who will tell you, like me, that they've been through this and they've come out the other side, and that you can do it. They will be there to support you. They will be your cheerleader until you can become your own cheerleader. Make sure that you choose your friends wisely. If you have people in your life that make you feel uncertain, that put you down, that make you feel like you're constantly in competition with them, you may want to redress that situation. You may want to actually take a look at those friendships and decide, are they actually serving you? You want to surround yourself with people who make your life nicer. with people who boost you up, with people who tell you you can do it. And if you haven't got them in your circle, I know a lot of ladies struggle because their husbands aren't very supportive, or their partners, or whatever. Then broaden your search. Come into the worlds that I'm in, because I am literally in the most amazing worlds with women who lift each other up constantly, who are there to help other people, who, when they hear the self-doubt, they talk to you, they help you, they give you information, they give you support. They are my cheerleaders. And if you really are struggling with this, find a mentor, find a coach. Find somebody who can help you on an individual basis to actually work through this. Okay, because trust me, my life in 2020 versus my life now are totally different. My life without self-doubt is totally different. I now have the confidence to do the kind of things that I never thought I would do. It doesn't mean, guys, that you don't still have a little bit of worry. It means that actually I believe in myself enough to get through it. I went to a meeting today that I didn't feel particularly confident about going to, but I went. I walked into a building where I didn't know where I was going, but I went. I walked in. I introduced myself. They told me where I was going. I went in. Everyone was lovely and kind and fantastic. And I had a fantastic day. And I have put myself forward to do something yet again that, I would never have done 4 years ago. I've put myself forward to running a wellbeing session at our local women's centre on International Women's Day. Well, it's actually on the 7th because we're doing it on a Friday. I would never have done that 4 years ago, but now I will do that happily. And that's not about me being at my own backside, as some people say. It's not that. It's just about the fact that, you know what? I don't doubt it. I come on here every week and talk to you. I wouldn't have done that. So if I can do it, ladies, you can do it. So please remember, okay, self-doubt does not mean that you're not capable. It means you're human. You just don't have to stay stuck in it. You need to make the effort. Confidence is not when nobody's born with confidence. This is the first thing I say. Nobody is born with confidence, but we are all born with courage. And courage is what you need. Courage is the thing that is going to enable you to build your confidence. And you need to build your confidence. And it is a skill. It is something that you can learn. Okay? It is amazing. And every single small step you take today moves you closer to believing in yourself again. And that is what we want. I want you to believe in you, because you are amazing. And I know you've heard this before. You are a miracle in itself, because we have something like a 1 in 40 million chance of ever being born. You are amazing. You are a miracle. You are unique. And you need to start believing that. If you are struggling with this, and I know it's a big one, and I know I keep saying it, but if you are struggling on this and you want some more support, then come and join me this March, when I'm going to be running a 4-week confidence and visibility program. This is not just the 5-day challenge. This is really focusing on rebuilding your confidence and overcoming your self-doubt. And it's about an in-depth course. It's designed not only to teach you the hows and the whys and the wherefores, but actually to be there for your own personal transformation. In 4 weeks, you are going to be able to really be rebuilding your confidence week on week on week. And you are going to be able to put that self-doubt behind you and put it where it belongs. Watch this space. That's coming up in March. If you want any more information about that, let me know. If you don't want to wait until the end of the year to watch the next 5-day free challenge, let me know. We have a Facebook page that's dedicated to it, and it's a group, and you can actually go in there and watch all of the replays. I take you through it. If you want to wait and do it live, I will be doing it early on this, well, probably April, May time, because I need to get it into my schedule. If you want any more information about how I can help you, if you want to just reach out to me, please do. You can get me on Facebook, you can get me on my website, you can get me pretty much anywhere, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. Please do not suffer in silence, ladies. Do not let self-doubt cripple you. Do not allow self-doubt to actually keep you playing small, because we need you. The world needs you. I need you. On that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you appreciate this. Please leave any comments below. And as I say, if you want to talk, please just drop me a message. Until next time, see you soon.